Hello everyone, welcome back to Chelsea Update News. Bayern Munich versus Chelsea. Allianz Arena prepares for a Champions League classic. The UEFA Champions League has always been the stage where football's greatest dramas are written. On Wednesday night, September 17th, the Allianz Arena will once again become the theatre of history when Bayern Munich hosts Chelsea in what promises to be one of the most electrifying encounters of the opening week. This is not just another group stage duel. It carries with it echoes of a decade-old rivalry, one forever etched in Champions League folklore. For Chelsea fans, the Allianz Arena brings back the memories of May 19th, 2012, the night of their greatest triumph, when against all odds, Didier Drogba's header and Petr Cech's heroics in the penalty shootout secured their first Champions League crown. For Bayern Munich supporters, that night remains one of the darkest moments in the club's history. More than 10 years later, the two sides meet again in Munich, but this time under very different circumstances. Bayern come in as a domestic powerhouse eager to conquer Europe again, while Chelsea arrive as a club rebuilding its European pedigree under new leadership. This match is not only about 3 points in the group stage, it is about pride, legacy, and the symbolic continuation of a rivalry born out of heartbreak and glory. With both teams coming into the game with contrasting domestic fortunes, the showdown is expected to be both tactical and emotional, a grand fight worthy of Champions League heritage. Bayern Munich's relationship with the Champions League has always been one of expectation. A club of their stature does not merely participate, they compete to win. Since their last European triumph in 2020, a pandemic-era final behind closed doors where Kingsley Coman's goal sealed a 1-0 victory against Paris Saint-Germain, Bayern have consistently reached the latter stages but stumbled when the pressure peaked. Quarter-final and semi-final exits have become a frustrating pattern. Now, under the leadership of Vincent Kompany, the former Manchester City captain who once tormented Bayern as a player, Die Roten are looking to begin a new chapter. Kompany's arrival was met with skepticism, but his early results have silenced doubters. Bayern began the Bundesliga season with 5 consecutive victories, scoring freely and conceding sparingly. Their most recent outing, a ruthless 5-0 demolition of Hamburg, reminded everyone that Bayern remain Germany's most dominant force. Add to that their German Super Cup victory, and it is clear that Kompany has injected energy and tactical clarity into a side already bursting with talent. At the heart of this resurgence is a team balanced between experience and firepower. Manuel Neuer, now in the twilight of his career, still commands the penalty box with authority. Joshua Kimmich remains the metronome in midfield, while new recruits like Michael Olise have brought creativity and unpredictability to the attack. Yet above all, it is the presence of Harry Kane, the English striker who has seamlessly adapted to life in Bavaria, that gives Bayern their cutting edge. Kane's combination of lethal finishing, intelligent link-up play, and leadership has transformed Bayern into one of the most feared attacking units in Europe. But what makes Bayern truly formidable is their Allianz Arena fortress. The Bavarian stronghold has been impenetrable in Champions League group stages for more than a decade. Not since December 2013, when Manchester City stunned them, have Bayern lost at home in the group stage. Even more impressively, Bayern have won their opening Champions League fixture for the past 22 seasons, a streak that epitomizes their ability to set the tone early. The Allianz Arena, draped in red and roaring with passionate fans, has become a nightmare destination for visiting teams. On the other side of this fixture stands Chelsea, a team that knows all too well about cycles of rise, fall, and resurgence. After 2 seasons of absence from the Champions League, the Blues return with renewed purpose. Last season's Premier League campaign was far from impressive, but Enzo Maresca's men managed to secure qualification in dramatic fashion, clinching their spot with a decisive victory over Nottingham Forest in the final weeks. Chelsea's European journey last season, however, brought them something historic: triumph in the UEFA Conference League. By defeating Real Betis in the final, the Blues became the first club in history to win all 4 major UEFA competitions: the Champions League, Europa League, Super Cup, and Conference League. This achievement, though often overshadowed by bigger trophies, demonstrated Chelsea's unique adaptability and resilience in continental competitions. The duel between Vincent Kompany and Enzo Maresca adds another fascinating layer to this contest. Both are relatively young managers with distinct philosophies. Kompany has shaped Bayern into a team that marries traditional Bavarian aggression with modern tactical flexibility. His 4-2-3-1 formation emphasizes ball progression from deep, quick transitions and relentless pressing. Harry Kane thrives as the focal point, supported by wide players like Serge Gnabry and Luis Diaz, who stretch defenses and create space. In midfield, Kimmich provides balance, while Aleksandar Pavlovic adds dynamism. Maresca, by contrast, prefers controlled possession and structured build-up. His Chelsea side also line up in a 4-2-3-1, but their emphasis is on recycling the ball patiently, drawing opponents out, and exploiting spaces through technical players like Palmer and Neto. João Pedro leads the line, supported by youthful energy on the flanks. The risk, however, lies in Chelsea's defensive transition. When possession is lost, they are vulnerable to fast counters, something Bayern excel at. This tactical contrast promises fireworks. Bayern will likely press high and exploit Chelsea's errors, while Chelsea will aim to frustrate, keep the ball, and capitalize on set pieces or moments of individual brilliance. Key players to watch: Harry Kane, Bayern Munich. The English striker has been in scintillating form and remains Bayern's main source of goals. His ability to combine with midfield runners makes him nearly impossible to mark. Luis Diaz, Bayern Munich. The Colombian winger has scored in 3 consecutive Bundesliga matches and brings flair and explosiveness to the left flank. Joshua Kimmich, Bayern Munich. The brains of Bayern's midfield, Kimmich's distribution and leadership are vital. Cole Palmer, Chelsea. The young Englishman has quickly become Chelsea's creative heartbeat, capable of threading decisive passes and scoring himself. João Pedro, Chelsea. Chelsea's early season talisman, Pedro's finishing and movement make him the Blues' best chance of upsetting Bayern. Enzo Fernandez, Chelsea. A World Cup winner who dictates Chelsea's midfield rhythm. His duel with Kimmich could define the match. The Allianz Arena is more than just a stadium. It is an atmosphere, a psychological weapon. When 75,000 fans clad in red roar in unison, opponents often crumble. Chelsea know this feeling. They silenced the stadium in 2012, but this time, the task is harder. Bayern's record at home in the group stages speaks for itself, and the sheer energy of the crowd on Champions League nights gives De Roten an extra edge. Predicted lineups: Bayern Munich, 4-2-3-1, Neuer, Lima, Upamecano, Tah, Stanisic, Kimmich, Pavlovic, Olise, Gnabry, Diaz, Kane. Chelsea, 4-2-3-1, Sanchez, James, Fofana, Chalobah, Cucurella, Fernandez, Caicedo, Neto, Palmer, Garnacho, Pedro. Team news: injuries and absences. Both sides enter this clash with significant injury concerns, which could shape the tactical battle. For Bayern, the most notable absentee is Jamal Musiala. Once part of Chelsea's academy system, Musiala has blossomed into one of Germany's brightest stars. However, a broken bone sustained during the Club World Cup has sidelined him for an extended period. Alphonso Davies, Hiroki Ito, and Rafael Guerreiro also miss out, leaving Kompany to make adjustments in defence and midfield. Chelsea, meanwhile, are not at full strength either. Mykhailo Mudryk is suspended, while Liam Delap, Benoit Badiashile, Romeo Lavia, and Dario Escugo remain unavailable due to injuries. Brazilian wonder kid Estevão Willian is doubtful with illness, and Facundo Buonanotte has not been registered for the Champions League squad. Still, there is optimism in the camp, as Cole Palmer is fully fit and João Pedro continues his red-hot form. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more updates.